I mean, is Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points? I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly. Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get the sauce.
Yo, happy Tuesday to everyone. Hope you're all having a nice Monday night. I'm having a good one. I've already clinched the winning night, but if Golden State doesn't want to screw this game up, that would make it a lot better. Currently sweating Golden State -2.5. It's a 6-point game with 8 minutes remaining. So it's a good night regardless because I have my biggest bet hit. But if I get Golden State -2.5, it'll be a much better night. Obviously, no Toast. He just landed in Alaska. So rather than him try to rush and get on the stream, we got Huffer, who is actually Vanderbilt's co-host on the Pump Fake Pod. So we got someone filling in for Toast. It's a loaded day. So I just picked my mic's a little loud. I just picked the 12 games that I thought were the best. So we're just going to rip through 12 of them. You guys went through like 100 on your show. The first one up is, I already bet this. I bet it as soon as I heard you guys talking about it on your show. Marquette +3. I think they win outright, coming off the shellacking from their big brother, the Connecticut Huskies. I had UConn money line in that game. Loved every second of it, start to finish. But they bounced back here. St. John's, man. I had St. John's money line in a big parlay against Providence, and watching them choke that lead was infuriating. I don't know if you guys watched the end of that game. It wasn't like it wasn't so much. Well, Providence was playing well. I don't want to take credit away from them, but every single little mistake you could make to let your opponent back into the game, they made it again and again and again. Stupid turnover on the inbound, a bad pass up, like every single stupid mistake. I'm done trusting St. John's at all. I like Marquette to bounce back +3.
Yeah, and to your point, I mean, they were up like 19 with like 8 minutes left. I was like, all right, well, Providence they died, but they came back. I mean, playing with a big lead is always scary for teams, but St. John's just has been getting lucky with these games lately. Like they've snuck out a couple, and to Huff's point earlier, what he said earlier on our show, St. John's at the Garden is not the same as when they play at Carnesecca. They kind of play with their food a little bit, and it's never an easy win. Minus the Georgetown. Actually, that was at Georgetown. Disregard that. But yeah, I think they're due a loss. They've been playing with their food, getting lucky. Marquette, like you said, just got absolutely housed at home to UConn. Props to you for saying fuck the points and just taking the money line on that one. So nice.
It was lovely. It was lovely.
There we go. But yeah, I'm going to take Marquette here too. I may sprinkle the money line, but I'm for sure already on the +3 here.
Yeah, I bet this one too. I bet it while I was watching your guys' show. Are we sweeping? Huffer, did you say Marquette? I forget.
Yep. Get the early sweeper Swiffer out. But hopefully we can actually get the Swiffer out tomorrow. I'm with you on Marquette. I think St. John's, they've won 8 games in a row now, 9 games in a row. And I think we'd rather see St. John's up by like 10 at the end of the first half, seeing how they play, because they randomly just, when they're playing close, they'll cover the number in the final 2 minutes. So yeah, I like Marquette here, and I like Shaka Smart as a dog.
3 picks on Marquette. Juices in the comments taking Marquette. Our poll's split though, so there are people clicking on St. John's in the poll, but as far as people in the comments, it looks like we're mostly on Marquette, except for the one guy who claims that Trevor's an auto fade, even though he just went like 12-4 on this show like 2 days ago. People are crazy.
And an Arkansas money line. But,
yeah.
You do you.
People are crazy. Kentucky, Ole Miss next. You guys are taking Ole Miss. I think you're on the wrong side of this, by the way. But as you guys know, I'm not a huge college basketball guy, so I'll yield. You guys like Ole Miss. I've had success in recent years betting Kentucky as a dog. There was that one trend when it was like Kentucky was catching 5.5 or more points. They're like 7-2 outright. Now a lot of those were Calipari games, but still, I don't know. Kentucky is a dog. I'm drawn to it like a moth to a flame. So I'm putting Kentucky up for me. I didn't bet this one or anything. I actually heard one of you, I forget which one, go on a rant about being done with Mississippi basketball or some shit. Was that Trev? Oh, that was you. Yeah,
That was
but
me,
you did.
I go on a lot of rants, so I'll won't tonight. But to
Correct me
save
if I'm
time.
wrong. You took Ole Miss here, though, right?
Yeah, I did. I took Ole Miss here, and I've laughed at both Mississippi schools and Mississippi State for once. They've kind of fallen back to earth, right? So if they don't cover this number, I'm done betting them for a while. I have bet Kentucky as a dog. I agree with you there. I don't think it's square at all. If you get that chance and opportunity, you take it. But I like Ole Miss just maybe on a bounce back here. They got to get a big one at home.
So and Trev, I believe, is Ole Miss as well.
Yep, everything he said. They need this game, and we did get into it a little bit about this Auburn game about cover or not. But regardless, like they play great defense. Kentucky does not. We just saw that the other night. They made Arkansas look like national championship contenders out there. I mean, I think Kentucky's just going to be a little flat. Personally, I know people are going to bet them in the bounce back. They are catching points, so I mean, I can't really argue that, but I think this Kentucky team's kind of slipping a little bit. Ole Miss is desperate as all hell to finally get a win. Like they've been there for a couple of these and they just blew them. So I think they come out energized and ready to get this done tomorrow. So hopefully I'm not eating my words tomorrow night, but I think Ole Miss gets this done.
This is where I need Toast. I know he'd be down to bet Kentucky money line with me here.
Oh, yeah. The Avengers.
Yeah, the Avengers he calls them. But all right, I credit to Ole Miss, as I'm sure you guys did too. I watched every minute of that Auburn game, and I wouldn't for 1 second say Ole Miss played poorly. It's just every time they did something, Auburn hit a three or got an and one, they just kept shutting the door. And it was, in my opinion, that game was more Auburn playing well than it was Ole Miss playing poorly.
Yeah, fading Auburn's not profitable.
Yeah, that was impressive by Auburn. And Toast was pissed. He had Ole Miss plus the point. But I was like, dude, it's not like you even capped it wrong. They played great. It's just Auburn's played a flawless game. They went in there and played perfectly. They didn't make any mistakes.
14-28 from three. That'll definitely help you out no matter what.
And so much of basketball is the momentum and stopping. And whenever Ole Miss got the slightest bit of momentum, Auburn made a play. It's just like they wouldn't let them go on that run. And Ole Miss kept starting the run, and Ole Miss kept slamming the door. And Auburn kept slamming the door. This next one is Vanderbilt, Florida. I don't know much about Vanderbilt, but what my thoughts on this game was just to bet Florida bouncing back offensively. And Trev, you said the same thing I was thinking on the show because Florida looked like shit in Tennessee. So I was thinking maybe Florida team total over or something. But again, I don't know much about this Vanderbilt team, so I'm open to suggestions if you guys have any.
Yeah, I like that Florida bounce back. I mean, I think Hufflex has them on the spread, but I think really either way you back Florida, I don't think you can really go wrong necessarily in this one. I mean, Vanderbilt, their defense isn't amazing. They do force turnovers, so they'll have that, but Florida isn't a turnover prone team. They've got a lot of size that can score inside where Vanderbilt can be taken advantage of also. Vanderbilt in conference play is also allowing teams to shoot 41% from three. So you get a Florida team who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn on Saturday. They scored as many points in that game as they do in the first half normally. So it was horrendous for them. I think they come back and they're just lights out. They do play Auburn on deck, but with them coming off a loss and looking as poorly as they did, I think they come home and put on a show and put up probably like 90 points in this one. I mean, Vanderbilt on the road hasn't been great. It's at home where they're catching teams where they beat Tennessee, they beat Kentucky. They've given up 97 to Oklahoma, 103 to Alabama in their last two road games too. And I think Florida's offense is you can compare it to an extent with this Alabama team too. So I like them to put up points. I think they put up 90 tomorrow at least. So I'm going to be on the over 84.5 more than likely.
The Florida team total over. Yeah, I'll put that up for both of us because that's probably, I don't know if I actually bet that. Huff, are you with us there?
I'm feeling a back door here from Vanderbilt. I don't know. I think you need to look yourselves in the mirror, not you guys specifically, but as Vanderbilt, you get your ass kicked by 30 and you were up for a majority of that game and then you just let it slip away and you lose by 30. Definitely scary to go in and fade the swamp, but for some reason, something in my body's telling me that Vanderbilt backdoors this with the cover. And maybe we all can win with that.
We could definitely all win. I feel like, and I don't know. Wags is looking towards Vanderbilt as well. He said he's waiting for a 13.5. Juice is on the Gators. I don't think I actually bet this one, though. 12.5 is just a huge number.
Yeah, this one's borderline for me. Debating it, haven't fired anything yet.
Come on, Vanderbilt. Force some turnovers. Need Vanderbilt to be able to force some turnovers, but Florida doesn't really turn the ball over much.
I mean, that Florida offense looked terrible on Saturday. That was awful.
Yeah.
I put this one up because you guys seemed interested in it. Notre Dame, Florida State. You guys really want to bet the Noles like that?
I took the Noles on the money line and bought the juice a little bit. Come on, Leonard Hamilton. Come on, you got to get up for him. It's on his farewell tour. Yeah, that's all my cap is to it. They're both teams are horrible.
It's a lot more. It's a lot more than I got. Trev, you're on Florida State too.
Yeah, money line for me. I'm also going to eat the juice here. Excuse me, minus 140. On the road, Notre Dame that's the spot they really, really struggle. Just blew a 13-point lead at Miami, for Christ's sake. That's really hard to do. And then lost at Syracuse, Duke, NC State, Georgia Tech, Georgia, all losses. Their 2 road games are Georgetown win November 16th, and then they beat Virginia on January 25th. So they've got 2 whole road wins all year. Again, Leonard Hamilton, quote unquote, resigning at the end of the year. I think he's getting pushed out, but he's been there 23 years. This is in the arena. I think people are going to start showing up to see him in his last year, and I think his team gets up for him. So I like Florida State on the money line here.
I'm not even putting anything up. I'm not betting that game. I'm good.
You're smart.
Yeah, I'm good on that one. This one I thought was interesting, and I think it was Huffer that was saying, "Good, I like everyone. Go ahead and take the +8." And I think you're going with a sharp Penn State as a favorite here, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Minnesota ATS there on that stat is a little alarming. It's not like Penn State's anything special. I was kind of with Trevor, like he sees the line like it's a lot of points. I'm like, for me, it was contrarian. Like, why is Penn State laying this much? The Bryce Jordan Center doesn't really get up for games. People don't really go to Penn State basketball games, especially if they've lost 5 of the last 6. So I am worried about the Dawson Garcia matchup, but I think Penn State's guard play can get them to cover this number and force some turnovers. So let's go Ace Baldwin, and I'm going to lay it with Penn State.
I'm putting Penn State up for me too, but it's not that I feel strongly about it or anything, or I just feel like everyone is going to take Minnesota. And also, I watched a lot of that Washington game on Saturday. Minnesota sucks, dude. Like, they are bad.
Yeah, Dawson Garcia is good, but Minnesota's bad.
Yeah, it was embarrassing to watch that because I didn't bet Minnesota on Saturday, but on the show I picked Minnesota. So obviously you want your picks on the show to win, even if it's not a particular bet you made. And it's like 5 minutes into that game, I was like, oh, I made a mistake. This team sucks. So, Trevor, are you taking the big number?
If I had to play a side here, I feel like I would take Minnesota. I know they've been bad, but they haven't been like typical Minnesota bad. They've just been like pretty bad. So, I mean, like, it's a little bit of an improvement. But I think if I'm going to play this game, I think I just take the Dawson Garcia points. This guy is just an absolute wagon when it comes to scoring here. Lately, 28, 21, 31, 20, 27, 21, 22. I mean, if this Minnesota team ever stays in a game, it's because of him. It's not because someone else steps up. Dawson Garcia is the straw that stirs that drink offensively. So it's Dawson Garcia points or nothing. I mean, I don't hate Minnesota, but Hoff brings up a good point, and it's just if you bet Minnesota and they lose by 15, you know how stupid you're going to feel holding a Minnesota ticket. So Garcia points are nothing for me in this one.
Yeah, I'm not betting that one either. In the comments, Wags is taking Minnesota. Juice says Penn State by 6, so it sounds like he thinks Minnesota will cover. Wags says it was an off game against Washington. Yo, an off game doesn't describe what that was. That wasn't an off game. That was disgusting. Jerron Connors in the comments, he's saying Minnesota as well. So maybe you're right. It's like everyone wants to take Minnesota, that big number. Next up, man, Purdue's about to get beat. This Iowa offense, man, it's sneaky. They score in bunches. No one wants to give the Hawkeyes any credit, maybe because they don't deserve any. I kind of want to take the money line here. I haven't bet it. I'm not like flexing an Iowa money line ticket, but a full disclosure, don't be surprised if you hear me saying I have Iowa money line tomorrow afternoon leading up to tip. I really want to take Iowa money line here on the upset. And I know you guys hate it. You guys hate it. I know.
Yeah, I mean, me and Huff did get into this one too, but Owen Freeman's out for season. That's their big interior presence down low for Iowa. So now they're going to be on like their third backup, I believe.
That means we're playing fast. We're playing fast. Oh, wait, I believe it was Huffer that says next man up, right? Next man up.
Yeah, I don't care about injury news in college basketball. These are kids. Next man up. Programs matter. But that's all I'll say.
Next man up.
I think TKR have a big game down low. I think Purdue, off of that home scare against IU, they really put up points. And the amount of points that you said, Iowa gets them in bunches. They also give up twice as many bunches of points. So, I mean, it could be a long day for Iowa here. But I'm on Purdue 7.5. I put 1.5 units on it.
Yeah,
wow.
I'm not buying into the injury news, like whatever. I do think you have a good angle on that, Kyle, of like the guards can take over and get into transition. I think Purdue's guards can just do the same. Braden Smith, he's definitely an All-American. So yeah, give me Purdue to cover this number. I think Iowa hangs, but I've just bet on this Iowa team too much, getting this many points for them to just let me down completely. So kind of a spite play as well, especially considering I'm taking Purdue as a Hoosier fan.
I have hit two of these I don't want to say long shot, two of these money lines in a row. UConn, and before that, IU motherfucking Indy. IU Indy.
Yep.
That was so free.
That was awesome.
That was all start to finish, no doubt. In control. Yep. Actually watched a lot of the game too.
Same.
Same with you.
Yeah, UConn was up immediately.
Yeah, no, they came out the gates hot. It was over.
So speaking of big dogs here, I have a Georgetown money line ticket. Maybe I'm playing into a sucker line here, but 8.5, doesn't that seem a little crazy? Maybe a little bit biased based off recent results and not the full body of work here. Is there really an 8.5 point gap between these two teams? And Epps is playing, right?
Yes, yeah. Jaden Epps is playing.
So how? I don't understand. I don't understand how it's 8.5. Maybe I'm the biggest sucker ever. I took Georgetown money line and I took the points. I put a half unit on either. On each.
I think people have a sour taste in their mouth with Georgetown. I mean, everyone liked to bet Georgetown, a month or two ago. They were covering games. They were playing pretty good. And then now they're just they're starting to just come back to earth a little bit. But after that Nova win, Providence, St. John's both just abused them. That St. John's game was ugly. And then the Butler game, I hit a Butler bet finally. So that felt good with that last second layup. But they haven't covered. I think maybe this line's getting a little inflated because of that, and people are just not liking them. I know Xavier's desperate as all hell. Like they need to win out and win these games, but it's not like they've been blowing teams out is the problem. And I think Georgetown can hang. I mean, they went to Providence. That was the Egg Cooley Bowl, and they were never going to win that game. That place hates him. And then St. John's was just a buzzsaw they walked into. And then they held on and won against Purdue, but they had a lead and blew that. So I'm with you. I like Georgetown here. I just don't know if I'm going to bet it. Just 8 points feels like a little too much. I know the Cintas Center gets crazy, but it's not like Xavier's been dog walking some teams when they get wins here.
Yeah, it feels crazy high. Like this isn't Marquette. It's the freaking Musketeers. What are we doing here with 8.5? Maybe I'm way off though.
Yeah, I feel like every spread tonight's 8.5. So we got a lot of 7 and 8s to pick from today. But I think it's too high as well. I'm buying into this Georgetown team. I bought in this Georgetown team as much as they weren't competitive against St. John's, but they've been playing close games. I don't trust the Cintas Center on a sleepier spot. I would more so against a UConn and a bigger team. It is a tough place to play, but I like Georgetown's interior to get them to cover this number.
The guy apologized, said it was his first time tuning in. He was just busting your balls, Trev, by the way.
No, that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah, Trev's not a sensitive guy.
No.
No.
All right, next up. USC North. Did I mess this lineup? USC plus 2.5? I thought they were laying 2.
No, you had it right. I had it wrong.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. So Oh, this is where Huffer's about to give his next man up speech. So Northwestern is missing a key piece here. Barnheiser, right?
Yep.
Who's one of the most important, maybe the most important piece on the team. USC outright, or is everyone going to be doing that? Why hasn't the line flipped? Why are they still favored?
I maybe think it's the travel spot. USC just came off a big win against Michigan State. And I know Northwestern surprisingly has been getting up for games, bringing a decent crowd. But I don't know. I like Musselman here, and I like what he's doing with this team. I do think the line is stinky, and I think we will see a flip by tip. So I will bet on that and take USC with +2.5.
Oh, you are taking USC. I thought you were giving a next man up speech and taking.
No, I as much as with Barnheiser, I think it would be like 4.5, 5.5. I don't know if it's not even that much, but I still would take USC even if Barnheiser was playing.
Are we a USC sweep here, Trev?
Yeah, I bet USC also. I got 2.5. This USC team is just playing a lot better. Northwestern is they don't get me wrong, they do play with some feistiness to them, but that feistiness kind of wears off towards the end of games, and they don't hang on. And now they're laying points. So I mean, maybe you could argue that they're laying points for a reason. Bad travel spot for USC, who's got to go to Purdue next. But it's not like it's a cross country trip for USC. They're traveling to the middle of the country here, so I think they'll be fine. They've been playing good ball. Northwestern, Huffer won't buy into it, but I think Barnheiser, they will feel that. They did just kind of play a tough game against Wisconsin. So I think maybe the injury bump game is over, and I think it's going to be kind of rough for him tomorrow against this USC team who's got size with Mobley inside, and they play fast. Their guards have been playing great too lately. So I think it's a USC outright win here. I'll kind of dive into the stink a little bit, catching points with USC.
Yeah. All three of us haven't bet this one yet, but I think I'm going to bet it right after we get off the stream. I mean, I agree that I think the line's going to move, and even if it closes as a pick, whatever, you're holding some value.
Yeah.
Now, this is a Hoosier spot. The market's been. Hear me out. Look, I'm not going to claim to be some Wisconsin basketball expert, right? But one thing's been abundantly true. The market has been constantly undervaluing Wisconsin, and here they are finally properly priced. Time to fade. Time to cash in on the other side. A game where I feel like there's the vibe of the market on these Wisconsin games has always been like, they're sleeping on us. They're sleeping on Wisconsin. They don't get it. And now that the market finally respects them, they shit the bed and show us that the market was right this whole time. It's beautiful. It's poetic. Who's your money line?
Oh, yeah. Disclaimer, everyone. This is my first time on this show. I'm a Hoosier fan. I think I went to Ball State. I'm a Cardinal fan. I'm a massive Hoosier fan. So this is a absolute heart play. I have no actual side. We do play bad in the Kohl Center, but I think this Hoosier team is going to play some good games, and they're just going to show how bad Mike Woodson is in the final minute, and actually when coaching kind of matters. And we've seen that in Maryland. We saw that in Purdue in a game that IU definitely should have won outright, catching 12.5. They'll keep getting disrespected. I like them on this 9.5 and 10.5 as well. I think they'll be competitive, and I'm happy with this. So yeah, give me the Hoosiers. Let's go.
Yeah, me too. It's a no doubter. So Trev's about to spew some bullshit about Wisconsin.
Come on.
I'll save my energy. I just we were yelling at each other for about 5 minutes on the show for this game. So.
Did you do you know Tinker in the comments? You ever met Tinker? He's he's from Indiana, diehard Hoosier fan. Always in the comments. Cool guy.
Taker, nice to meet you. Yeah, go Hoosiers, and Indiana's a great state.
I was in a group chat in the Discord with Tinker watching that playoff game with Notre Dame. It was a rough time for Tinker, but he was proud. He was proud of the season.
Yeah, you can't be mad about it. And I use a football school now. So
yeah, apparently it is. All right, so here's your Wisconsin minus 9.5. Go ahead.
Yeah, what are we doing here? IU just played their hearts out at Purdue. Purdue couldn't hit a 3 to save their life. That's how they hung in that game. Don't let him say nothing different. Purdue was ice cold that night. Purdue was down double digits, I believe, or pretty damn close.
We controlled the entire game. We controlled the entire game. There's no missing shots or whatever. They controlled the entire game.
Yeah, they beat up on Purdue.
Hoosiers made a lot of free throws too. They make free throws.
Are you a Hoosier hater?
Me?
Oh yeah, he's got a Purdue flag in his wall over there.
Yeah, I'm from Indiana too, but my family we root for Purdue. So I Wisconsin here at the Kohl Center. They play so much better at home, and like I said, IU just played their hearts out at Purdue, and now they're going to hit the road to the Kohl Center, where Huff said they already don't play well. And to your point about them getting priced right, I'm not going to argue that. I think they are getting priced right, but I think this is just a little bit of a letdown for IU. Badgers have size that can bang with Ballo. They've got guards all over. Tanji can go nuts. Everybody on the floor can shoot. So I think Wisconsin gets it done here, and this is the game Woodson gets fired after they lose by 20 at the Kohl Center.
He ain't getting fired mid-season. They won't fire him mid-season. He's an IU guy. They'll let it go.
Good point. Fair point. But regardless, this is Wisconsin. Big. Don't overthink it. Wisconsin's going to hit everything unless they shoot 5 of like 22 from 3. This is Wisconsin big.
I will say, if Woodson does get fired, I'll be very impressed that you called that. But I
called it last game too, so I'm just going to keep doing it every time.
I didn't know that.
I have the clip.
I didn't know you've been continuously calling it. In that case, no credit.
This is just the second game.
I would cheer for it, and I would call, and I would say I was wrong. I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. And although Trevor likes to think different when we're in a battle and I win, rubbing it in, but I would be happy for that to happen. So.
But it doesn't matter because Indiana's going to win. So.
Bingo, job saver.
Okay, this is an interesting one here because I have 2 thoughts on it. On one side, a lot of that Baylor comeback was, look, I had Baylor in the game. I live bet them at plus 300. I was on Baylor, rooting Baylor the whole time. So this is not like a scorned Kansas better that lost the bet. I was on the Baylor side. A lot of that comeback was, I don't want to say bullshit, but circus layups going in from that freshman. They were getting the whistle a little generously. I'm saying there was a lot of good fortune involved in that comeback. Kansas offense, for a majority of the game, Kansas offense looked a lot more fluent than Baylor's. They were getting the easy looks. They were running their plays, executing them, where Baylor was like, fuck it, it's not working, just go to the – and like the freshman was just hitting a shot. So on one hand, I'm like, there's no way. If what's the guy who's out, Trev?
DJ Edgecombe.
Edgecombe. He's not playing, right?
I don't know. I would assume
it didn't look good, man.
Until 5 minutes before tip.
He was struggling to put weight on it. I doubt it.
I doubt it.
If he doesn't play, part of me's like, you can't trust this Baylor team to score because there's no way that circus shit is going to carry over. And then the other part is maybe this kid is a superstar because he took the game in his hands. Huge game against Kansas as a freshman and literally was like, give me the ball, and won the game. So part of me is like, yo, maybe this is a superstar emerging, a Big 12 superstar we're going to be talking about in March. I mean, that shit happens. We're around that time of year where these superstars show up, right? So I'm between those two. One part of me thinks, yo, this kid's a superstar. I'm trusting him. And the other part's saying that second half was a bunch of bullshit. Lay the 8.5. So I'm torn. I'm open to suggestions here.
Yeah, we were kind of back and forth on this a little bit. We did decide on it, but Texas Tech is coming off of the huge Houston win. They went on the road and got Houston. They beat Houston. I mean, Houston kind of did what Kansas did to them, and they kind of blew that game late. But Texas Tech, I mean, they just, like I said, just play Houston. We have a system where you fade the team immediately after playing Houston also. And then, to argue against Baylor, they just came back from 21 down and won that game. So, I mean, this is 2 letdown spots rolled into one. So I wouldn't say either side really has much of an advantage. I think without Edgecombe, it's going to suck. But, it is because that rotation is also down to like 8 guys maybe. So without him, that'll be a big loss. But I just think it's more of a fade on Texas Tech here that They just went to Houston, gave Houston their first home loss, beat the number 1 team in the Big 12 without their coach and best player. I think it's a little bit of a hangover spot. I think, Baylor might have gained some confidence from coming back, showing that they can do it. So I played Baylor +8 here. I might sprinkle the money line, honestly. I think they might potentially be live. Yeah, I just think people are going to see, Texas Tech beat Houston on the road. They can beat this Baylor team who was down 21 to Kansas, but I think Baylor's got some fight. It doesn't make me feel good that they're going to be down potentially Edgecombe and just a short lineup. But I like Baylor here. Also just the fate of the team off the Houston game. It's been very profitable to us this year.
I got sucked into the Baylor conversation. The game ended. Warriors won and covered. So swept tonight. You love to see it. I actually, to be honest.
It's either trying to trade for all those players.
Oh yeah, it's tough to follow. People always like asking for reactions on it. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't even get that last trade. But to be honest, Trev, gun to my head, I was kind of leaning towards the Red Raiders. If Edgecombe doesn't play, man, that offense didn't look pretty during that comeback. Like, I feel like there's no way you can count on those buckets going in. And on the road in Lubbock, like, I could see Baylor, if there's no Edgecombe, I could see Baylor being held to like 44 points here. Like, it could get ugly offensively. But I know Huffer's about to give a speech about next man up.
Hey, you come out with piss in your vinegar sometimes, but they did come off both wins. Listen, next man up. The one thing I will give you guys credit, it is a 1-game injury bump, right? When one player goes out, if they don't get up for that next one, automatic bet for that, because they will get up for the injury. We saw that with John Ibroom and Auburn. Auburn, a way better team than Baylor, though, obviously. I think this is a hangover spot for Texas Tech. To battle you, Trevor, on your point, I think people will bet Baylor a lot. They kind of are a public team. They see them catching points. But yeah, and this is Texas Tech. Now they cracked into the top 10 in the AP poll, the top 15 in the AP poll. They've won this many games in a row. I don't see Baylor winning this game on the money line sprinkle, but I think that they can cover this game around 8 to 6 points.
I just can't. The way that second half went with the Baylor comeback. Every single play, and again, I was rooting for Baylor, but every single play, I felt like I was lucky to get a bucket. Like, oh shit, I can't believe they scored. Oh shit, I can't believe. And like the thought in my head was like, this can't continue. Like, the offense isn't working. They're like, I don't know how they keep getting bailed out with a foul, or that freshman makes like a crazy 8-foot off balance. I just feel like that can't carry over, personally.
Especially against Texas Tech's defense, it's a little scary.
In Lubbock.
Yeah.
But all right, let's move on. 2 games left, and we got Michigan State, UCLA. I don't freaking know what to do with UCLA. Apparently, they're awesome. I don't know.
Yeah, them getting that playing that American when Bilodeau went out, that really added a whole nother level to that offense. I think that they were missing in that defense. I mean, they have a true rim protector at 7'3", 240. That dude's huge. So I mean, they got protection down low. He can shoot too. So I mean, that's always a huge bonus with a big man. But, I did buy into this UCLA team for a couple games. I think I'm going to sell here. Michigan State, Izzo catching points. I don't think Izzo goes on the road and gets swept in his first West Coast trip. This is going to be a grinder game for sure. It's going to be a lot of defense. I think there's going to be plenty of missed shots in this one. But Michigan State's got 2 7-footers that they can rotate in and kind of bang with Mara down low. Carr's been really good. Akins has been really good too. So I think Michigan State wins this one. I think this is a really tight game, like within 4 or 5 points the entire way, and it may come down to free throws late. But I'm going to be playing Michigan State here more than likely. Haven't fired on it yet, but it's just we're catching points with Michigan State and Izzo now. I get it's on the road, but it's not going to happen very often this year.
Yeah, I heard you say that on your show, that you don't expect Izzo to get swept on his first West Coast road trip. I guess that makes some sense. I don't know. I feel like I don't know how good UCLA is, so I really don't know how to even give an opinion.
They like muck games around. Like they just kind of like play a slower pace, but I don't think Izzo's necessarily afraid of their style of play, and his coaching style can definitely mirror their offensive style, and I think Michigan State's a really physical team. They have tons of chemistry. Come on, get up for this one. And Kyle, to your point, you see Michigan State catching points, you see Kentucky catching points. Those are teams you bet catching points. I'll take Michigan State here.
I'm putting Sparty up for me too. I don't know if I bet this one, but I'm down to pick Sparty on the show.
Don't live bet it because it's on Peacock. They're about 5 minutes slower than like any live betting option.
Wow, that's right. I actually heard someone saying that the other day. Yeah.
And
the last game I got up is Kansas State, Arizona State. I don't really know much about either of these teams. Sports betting logic would tell you to fade Kansas State off of the big win, but I mean, Arizona State played pretty tough. I lost the bet. I had Arizona State team total under 70.5 in that Arizona game.
Ooh.
It looked dead. It only lost by 2 points, but it looked they only scored like 2 points in the last like 6 minutes of the game or something. So I don't know much about this one. I'm all ears.
Yeah, I went Kansas State in this one. I know it's textbook letdown game, but Kansas State's been playing better lately. Arizona State, I've been betting them a fair amount this year, and it's never come through whatsoever. But I think Kansas State's just playing better. Arizona State, I just don't like what I've seen from them. They don't play fluently. They did just have a big get-up game against Arizona, and that things got heated at the end of that game too. Like there was I think BJ Freeman headbutted Caleb Love or something, like some crazy shit, and then you had Hurley yelling at the other team. Like that was a huge game for them too, clearly, and they let it slip away. I think they're going to be a little dead here. I like Kansas State to. I know they just celebrated and it was a crazy win, but I think they're playing better ball. I'm kind of going to buy this gross line and this line that's clearly telling you it's probably not a Kansas State spot, but I like this Kansas State team better than what I've seen from Arizona State, and I believe in them to keep it rolling than I do in Arizona State to bounce back here against Kansas State.
Really? I mean, they just had a big win, then they fly from Iowa to Arizona. Arizona State didn't have to travel. I don't know. I don't know enough about the teams to argue with you. I just personally think the other side.
No, I get it. Like nothing about this game screams Kansas State spot whatsoever. It actually yells the opposite, that I should be on Arizona State. But maybe I'm an idiot, but I'm buying in, and I'm gonna dive in with this Kansas State.
Is Huffer on? Are you on Kansas State too?
Heck no. You dumping Dasani water bottles on your coach in the middle of a locker room celebrating like you won the Super Bowl. I know you beat Iowa State at Iowa State, but that is an automatic fade spot for me.
Let's do it.
If you're
I'm
gonna
in.
celebrate like that. And I will agree to Trevor's point. I think Kansas State's a better team, but it ain't by much to be better than Arizona State. And a lot of their ATS, that 13-8 ATS, came from the beginning of the year a ton. So, yeah, they've also won 3 in a row. They won at home twice, West Virginia and Oklahoma State. They have been playing better basketball, but I think Arizona State gets a little desperate here at home, and Kansas State has a little too much fun in Tempe, Scottsdale area.
I like it. I'm going to bet this one too. I'm in because I was thinking the same thing. You just gave me the affirmation I was looking for. All right. So
this is another next man up spot potentially. I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming BJ Freeman's probably going to get suspended or something for headbutting Caleb Love under the basket. I would assume there's got to be some repercussions. I don't know for sure. Just an FYI on that.
I would love to sit here and pretend I know who the hell that is, but I don't.
UW Milwaukee legend transferred to Arizona State, but I didn't watch much of that game. I did just see that clip of those two under the basket, and he headbutted them. So
yeah,
imagine something's got to come from that.
My team total under looked fine until they came out of the tunnel in the second half, and Arizona State just couldn't miss for a stretch there. Really pissed me off because I was like, I hadn't lost a bet that day. I was like 3-0. And Arizona State team total under gave me my first L of several more that came after that.
I was undefeated too, and I had Arizona State plus 7.5. That was a
What did it land on, 9?
They lost by 9, and I think you hit it was only 70. I think they got 71 or maybe 72.
72. They lost by 1 bucket.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was a heartbreaker. My first loss of the day. All right, so I got an NBA video to get out. So these guys. I'm assuming most people watching right now already know who these guys are, but for the people watching in the morning that aren't up at these hours, they do the Pump Fake Pod, and on Friday nights they go through, I'm not joking, every game on the board. You'll see most of the people you see in the comments here will be there, like Wags and Helms and Juice. It's the same community there. They go through, I'm not kidding, they went through like 84 games on Friday night, and you'll see me and Toast in the comments. They do as somebody who knows how difficult it is to prepare and be ready to talk about, like, it's impressive how many games they go through on Friday night. So if you like betting college basketball, Friday night, don't make plans from midnight to 3 a.m. Eastern because they're going through the whole fucking thing. So yeah, you'll see us, me and Toast in there. It's called actually, real quick, I'll share a link to it. I like I said, I think most people watching right now know who these guys are because the late night crew, we kind of all like stick together. But for those of you that don't, that are watching in the morning, there you go. So
we generally try to go a little earlier. It was a little scheduling issues.
Oh, what's the start time usually?
I went to WWE SmackDown in Indianapolis, so it took a little while for me to get home. So yeah, I was feeling a little cutting. That's why I was cutting so many promos on that show on Friday night.
Well, what we should do is Friday night we should do like a 20-minute preview stream because our show's on Saturday morning. So we'll do a 20-minute preview stream where we'll go through like the 5 biggest games, and then we'll be like, hey, if you guys want to hear them go through the whole slate, and then you guys should start yours right after. So maybe I could send some people over. We could do something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, whether there's nobody in there or 50 people in there, we still do it.
It's the same, yeah.
The game.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Thanks for having us, guys.